It is always a good day to be alive. It's always a good morning when you start it with us. This week is a holy week for the Christian fraternity, still a holy month for the Muslim as well, because they are in Ramadan. But the Christians will be ending their fasting season, the Lent season tomorrow. I don't know
Today?
No, it will be tomorrow, Good Friday.
Good Friday. Good Friday is when Jesus is carrying the cross. But when did he feed them? Isn't it today? It is today when
today
we
was
washed
the
their
Last
feet.
Supper, because he was dying tomorrow.
And if it was the Last Supper, that means they ate.
Well, no.
That means they
weren't
broke the
fasting.
fast.
The fasting is anyway. I don't want to go into a lot of church doctrines in there.
But I think, okay, whoever is fasting today or tomorrow, whoever is
this
ending the
weekend.
fast,
But are you fasting for the Christian
Can I tell you what I
family?
dreamt? I think East African community on my mind every time speaking about East African community.
Okay.
So I dreamt that East African, you know the map of East Africa?
The new one, the old
The
one?
new map.
Okay.
So in my dream, it happens like it was speaking. So I was asking it, so how are you able to determine you're away from, how can we tell you are off from, Sudan, the other part, or Ethiopia, the other side? So it was telling me that, you know what, I have to be separated by water. So it was highlighting. So I started creating a boundary so that East Africa could be alone, so that we could identify Central Africa alone, and we could identify Northern Africa alone and South Africa alone. Can you imagine?
Dreams. Let's have a look at business tip of the day. The tip is it's just like a skill up for a person.
Making
And,
sure that you're up to speed with what is happening to you in regards to your business, how you're getting motivated. It is basically helping you to add a tip, to add Raiko. Raiko is trending on Twitter. Have you realized that?
No, I haven't. I'm here to check out and find out why.
Add Raiko in what you're making sure, what you're doing.
So let's check the business tip of today and see what you need to learn again.
It's coming from Greg Dunway, who is president of Bend Station in East Coast, and highlighting, I get into the office early each day and go through the details before anyone else shows up. I have found that if I focus on the most important projects and tasks early and fast, I can spend the day leading others and addressing topics, opportunities, or problems that were not there yesterday. And if you come in later than others, they have the opportunity to control your day for you. It's basically clear. And how true is that? Especially on, because I want us to speak about finding a focus in the most important projects and tasks, and spending the day, leading, addressing topics, solving problems, solving challenges for others. Doesn't this then ruin your day? I feel like you have already planned your day, because I feel like I have planned my day already. But when I come in fast and then I go into addressing people's challenges, I go into addressing tasks that were there, I go into checking ledgers and all that, doesn't that add on to a weight on my day that I've already planned?
It does. It does at the moment. It does. But waking up quite early also takes away some of the things. Why? Because you get to plan accordingly to what you want in your day. But nevertheless, in most cases, waking up early it tells one to actually be ready for the day. Because if you wake up early, you may still wake up early and feel you quite have a very huge space of time, and you can still relax even early in the morning. That is why there are some people who will wake up even at 4 and still do completely nothing, and they are okay with waking up.
They're okay with doing nothing, learning nothing, and forgetting nothing. But my issue here is
you can forget and you don't learn. That is the only bad thing about a new experience or a new day.
Today I was listening to a song and it reflected to exactly what goes on or what happens. I don't know whether you have experienced that. So if I am to remember line, it was it went that if you dream for long, you end up not sleeping. You end up not sleeping. If you dream for long, you end up not sleeping. Have you been in dreams? Specifically, this is not just that you're sleeping and you're dreaming. When we speak about dreams, we're speaking about thoughts. You know, when you think about something, when you start visualizing something and you're in that world, do you know you end up losing sleep? I don't know if that has happened to you, but it has happened to somebody watching.
Every time I have a dream and it reaches, I think everyone experiences this.
I'm not meaning that dream that you go to sleep and then you're dreaming. I mean when you are lost in thoughts. Those are the certain dreams. Huh?
You were just lost in thoughts.
But no, you're dreaming.
You're visualizing.
You're visualizing things, and that is your dreaming. Because for business people, when you're in your office and you feel like you have got a plan and you sit back and relax on that seat of yours and you're planning and you're taken by the thoughts and you're visualizing how that farm would be, how you're going to add that new stock. Do you know by the time someone knocks on your door or the time you realize you have taken like 2 hours off, and that means that is basically the logic that if you think a lot or if you get lost in dreams, you might end up not even sleeping.
Now, I've actually been told that you always dream about something you've been thinking a lot about. It is either the dream may come scaring you or even bringing better results.
I will not agree.
That is what
I will not agree on that, because I have had dreams that I've not even thought about during the entire week or the month, or never even thought about. But at the end of the day, you're dreaming. Back to the tip, let me tell you something. If you wake up early and you planned your day very early enough, very well, you're going to make sure you be a president of your life. No one is going to govern your day if you have planned it very well, because you're going to be accurate in everything you're going to do for that particular day, highlighting that not only are you going to focus on what you have planned, but rather do look at what else can you solve in that environment that you are in. Basically, that is it for me that I've got to say on that tip. So make sure you implement that. Do not let always people decide for you what to do at the end of the day or plan your day, because you have planned your day already. But when you come late at certain entities, or when your approach is late, that means someone is going to keep directing you on what you're to do, and the plans that you have already planned are
okay. And surely, just like Rita has been highlighting here, is that always make sure that you make a better plan for your day, and that can only be if you follow this particular. Is it a proverb? Should I say? No, it's not a proverb. Is it a saying of the early bird?
The early bird catches the worm.
So if you are out there, you really need
the worm.
The worm, because
Which
remember.
worm?
Remember, birds chew on worms, chew a lot of things. So it's always the early bird that will come in and take
birds chew worms.
Yeah.
Do you mean the worms that
yes,
crawl?
Exactly. Yeah. So once it comes, they would say the early bird catches that worm. The one that comes in
but
early
even
will,
the
will
worm
have.
is still right. Because if you go early outside there,
you get the better you get the better fruit and the better results. And also now let's look at the business quote. This is for inspirational purposes and motivation as well. Let's look at our business quote of the day to see how best can we motivate you on this Holy Thursday.
And this is coming from Roy Ash, who is highlighting, an entrepreneur tends to bite off a little more than he can chew, hoping he will quickly learn how to chew it.
So yes, that is most probably for any entrepreneur who is out there, that entrepreneurs tend to actually go for more than they can achieve at that moment, because they know later on in the long run they will get they will actually learn how to deal with it. Because as an entrepreneur, you always have to be a risk taker, they say. And if you're a risk taker, that means
But you
you're
shouldn't
going
go
to.
for more that you.
You're always
you
going to
shouldn't.
try.
Why should you go for more that?
Because if you settle for
more
less,
that you can actually take it.
because if you settle for less, in most cases, you sit comfortably. You remain in a comfort zone, and unless when you keep on challenging yourself. It's just like when they would tell you you're supposed to be doing this kind of business and you're like, no, I feel my shop has to expand. So if I told you feel it has to expand and you comfortably remain in a small one, it won't happen. You have to actually create more space for your business to grow. That is why you see entrepreneurs going out for loans, others actually acquiring bigger space, so that this bigger space makes him realize that there are a lot of gaps that you need to fill.
So basically, this one goes for an already established entrepreneur, not settling for less that you're
not settling
highlighting.
for
How
less,
about
exactly.
the beginners?
No, even the
why
beginner,
should I go for something that I cannot
even the
afford,
beginner,
at some
you're
point?
not supposed to settle for less. Why? Because if you're settling for less, then that means you're setting a trend for yourself. You may want to settle for high, for the higher expectation, or you want to settle for bigger opportunities. And in the beginning, it may not be that easy. But because you have that goal for bigger things, they will definitely push you to go for them. So that is why you shouldn't settle for less, because less always makes us sit comfortably in a situation whereby we wouldn't choose to be. Yeah, exactly.
Away from the business quote and tip, and now we're going to take you on a story about the national budget preparations, where the key priorities for the economic recovery and safeguarding the livelihoods of people are undertaking. Now, this one is coming from the Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, which has shared their concern on continuing commodity prices rising, which is affecting the end user here. Let us look at the story. We return to discuss with you on what you think about what can be done in such a situation.
This has come at a time when the economy was fully reopened, but much affected by the spiking commodity prices of essential needs like soap, cooking oil, fuel, among others. The increasing commodity prices are driving at the dropping of the economy, which is likely to affect the country.
We would want to inform the public that the budget, which is currently being discussed in Parliament for financial year 22-23, is set to increase by 6%. That's an increment of close to 2.4 trillion shillings. From the current budget, which is 44.7 trillion, and the one for financial year 22-23 is expected to be 47.2 trillion shillings. Of this, 39.3% of the overall budget will be for statutory expenditures. Here, that's the money that government is going to spend on meeting its obligations. We have obligations of paying our debts. We have obligations in there of debt refinancing. We have the interest rates in there. So that is taking a huge percentage of the budget. Close to 18.5 trillion will go towards that. However, what will be left for service delivery? Now that's the amount of money that is going to be appropriated to the different votes so that they can deliver service to citizens. It will amount to 60.7%. That is 28.6 trillion.
Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group has asked government to offer funds like the Parish Model Development Funds into the agricultural sector to boost the sector and to enable farmers produce enough food for both consumption and sale.
There are some issues that we want to bring to attention of the public. One is the issue of the raising prices of essential commodities in this country. There are some commodities that have seen 100% increment. For example, we have the laundry bar soap that has increased by close to 47.8%.
Monica Nabyonga, Smart 24 Prime Edition.
Very well, and we're still looking at how skyrocketing of prices or commodity prices is still rising concerns among Ugandans, among individuals and businesses. But looking at the national budget preparations, because we're coming to the end of the financial year, and this calls for preparations for the beginning of another financial year, 2022-2023, effective June effective June, July this particular year. What do we anticipate? Or you can share with us your expectations on how we can plan better to make sure we include all these factors that are there. We've got fuel, we've got commodity prices, because we don't know when this is going to stop at a point.
Well, and also the good thing about it is we're going to be looking at economic recovery mainly. This one is going to be targeting economic recovery, which will as well entail inclusive growth for the entire country. Because when you look at the economy is in a recovery mode, that is why you're seeing the sector players making sure that they sign deals that are going to be beneficial for them in the long run. We cannot say the economy will stabilize in the coming financial year. We would hope and wish it does, but I think this is going to be the starting or stepping stone or the foundation to see our economy recover after those 2 years that definitely had it shattered at a time.
Yes.
So that means...
And why wouldn't it really have a stabilized prices as we move further?
Well, why that is one of the reasons as to why I also identify that it may not stabilize as people may think this financial year, even when we are looking at economic recovery. Why? Because there are a lot of other things that we need to look at, and quite a number of them that we're supposed to follow. And when you look at most of the economies in the world, if we are to do a simple benchmark, is that almost all the economies have realized that this year may be one to look at economic recovery, but they have given themselves 2 years, 2022, 2023, then 2023, 2024. So that means 2024, 2025, we expect economies to at least go back and stabilize. We've seen the world's second largest economy, China, still grappling with COVID at this time. And then when you try to bring it on the African continent, the African countries were definitely hit hard. Reason being, most of them are not even in the middle income status. So if we are to count the countries that are in the middle income status, we'll just count them by the fingers.
And
so
when you realize what is happening, we're anticipating holidays that are coming through. We have got Easter coming. After that, we have got Eid coming. And when you see all these changes are not going to be in favor for you, especially if you're anticipating commodity prices to go down, you realize these are events that are going to mostly increase
and a new
prices.
twist of things apparently is that even construction materials are shooting high, and hardwares are definitely also making now are following the trend of commodity prices hitting, and then that means you're going to see the real estate sector becoming quite more expensive, because I actually apparently did see a meme where someone was saying you're going to look at people's salaries not increasing, but then the expenses are supposed to increase because the commodity prices are increasing. Your boss is not going to increase your salary, but at the end of the day,
that
your
takes
rent
me
is
to
increasing.
the Kameza money where the women were striking.
I wanted to have a discussion with you strictly, but I
about
feel
what do you want to know about that?
On the issue of the Kameza,
Yes.
I've seen a number of women coming up with conferences lately discussing the Kameza money.
I see they've already dated the conference to happen for women
and all that, and how they're supposed to be entitled. And someone actually made, let's say, a sarcastic comment saying that it is women will tell you they love being independent, that they are independent and self-driven, and until it comes to the issue of the Kameza, is when the independence tends to go away.
For those people who are, you tend to not understand perspectives from which women speak. I can tell you, Dora. Because when you realize the statement you just made, that women tend to be independent, which kind of women are we speaking about here?
Everyone. Women
No.
call for,
We are now speaking about independent women. We're speaking about single ladies
okay.
that who feel like they want to be independent. That statement does not cross to the married
But why would
women.
why would they choose to be independent? There is always a reason behind the independence.
Because
And very
independence at some point, when you realize,
a woman will still say they're independent, but they are not independent.
what do you mean? I wouldn't want to go there, but what I am saying here in regards to your statement is that this can cut across. There are single ladies who have basically no responsibilities other than themselves, taking care of themselves, making sure I have good dressings.
So those ones are off the Kameza topic.
Those are
Exactly.
off the Kameza. But when you're making comments, when society is making comments, they generalize.
Do you know why
but
they
not-
generalize? is because the Kameza money, which is supposed to be going to the woman in the house, surprisingly,
it's not going to the woman
goes
in
to
the
the
house.
independent
Now, this
lady.
is where the challenge is.
So that is where the challenge is. That is
the
why I was
money
saying
is not going to
it
the
is
woman.
very difficult to find
that
an
it is
independent
going
woman.
to the responsibilities of the home. When you realize what is happening now, when you realize the price of a bar of soap, the price of cooking oil is really high. And you may not think about it as a husband leaving a home. You might just drop their money as you're leaving, like how you used to do. Maybe 5 months back, the 50,000 you used to leave at the table is the same 50,000 you're going to
on
leave.
a daily.
Yes, on a daily, you're dropping a 50,000 or weekly.
But
Or weekly.
Huh?
Why are you surprised? Zoram is very surprised about the... Okay, let me... Why are you even surprised? What is the minimum money someone should leave? But here you should compare with the different homesteads. The different people have got different levels.
No, you know, I got shocked with the 50.
Yes.
Is if you leave 50 a week, I'm giving an example. You have a wife at home, you yourself, and then let's say 2 children. And you're actually very right when you say 50. And that is even much in some areas.
It's not enough in some
It's not
areas.
enough. It has
That
never been enough.
50 can be enough for someone in a rural setting.
Exactly.
Or someone, if you're not paying some of the liquidities that come in weekly, it can be enough.
So they acquire 50,000 a week. But I also think the reason being...
I don't know if I can tell you what I spend a week.
If it's a 50,
Yes,
I think it is because maybe some people it's either one, it's a woman and a man, and they're only 2 at home, and they feel like 50,000 can do. But if it's a child included, I think
Okay, let me just give you a roughly budget.
Or how much?
Because we're speaking
It also
about
depends on how much a man is earning.
preparations. We're speaking about, yes, it depends on your earning, but you need to really calculate. It depends on a lot of things.
Okay.
If I'm to get, let me give you a lively example.
Okay.
When I'm planning my week, I plan for food, because you have to plan for food for a week, the food that is going to take you for a week. Me, I plan, that is 50,000, I'm being honest, a week of food. And you're considering all the prices that are here, cooking oil, everything week on food, 50,000. And then there are non-food commodity prices, commodities that you will need on a weekly basis. You plan at least 10,000, that is gone. And then you're going to have an emergency fee. You have to plan emergency, a week emergency fee. Maybe 15,000, you plan for it.
Okay.
It goes there. And then after that, you plan for transportation. I plan for my transportation at some point. You put aside a 25.
Okay.
It goes, that's a week. Away from that, you plan for your personal feeding at some point. Because if you're going to be working, that means that you have got to have feeding that is going to come at your workplace. There are areas that will provide maybe something at the end of the day. Some areas will need you to provide. You plan that fee. I don't know whatever fee you're going to put there. And away from that, you plan for yourself as a lady now, as a woman. There are things you need a week or any emergency stuff. So how much money have you calculated in your mind from the things I've told you?
You may actually be heading to around 150 to 200 weekly.
And that's
but,
a week.
I think...
Whereas that applies to me, that could be different for someone else.
Yes, yes.
That could be different.
The people actually who spend
definitely
less,
depends. Yes,
others spend more. But with looking at the
so
economic
are you
recovery, I
willing
think...
to leave that 50,000 weekly or 100,000 at the table, or you're willing to leave 150 or 200?
Well,
so
now,
it depends. That is why you see women going out there that, hey, can you change the perspective of now?
It also goes back to the natural consent, to the consent between you and your partner. Because these are discussions that are supposed to be really candid and straight to the point when it comes to monetary matters.
And share responsibilities.
Because a number of
What you're
marriages
saying
are
is
broken because of money. Even when all things are right and someone has to leave simply because of the money And so these are some of the discussions you need to understand. If you need to get to understand, my partner earns this money, then this is what they can afford, because having more of your managing your finances is quite important.
Because at the end of the day, you need something to save at the end of the day, because you need to look at your income, you need to look at your expenditure, and you need to look at your saving. Because at the end of the day, we don't want you to keep spending other ways. Every week you're spending that money, every day you're spending, but then you're not earning or you're not saving. That is not good culture.
Okay, and let's go in for a break. We shall return with more and having us an exclusive insight in regards to the oil and gas conversion, whereby we go to sit down with the SBG Securities CEO to understand more of how the banking institutions come into the oil and gas sector.